Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we're looking at the Incom T-47I Snowspeeder, which then later becomes the Rebel Alliance Combat Airspeeder, or Snowspeeder, I should say. Um, so, look, taking from the revised second edition role playing game, because I knew that we had the stats in here. Uh, what we have for the write up from the old Western games is the T-47I is an old but popular model of airspeeder based on Incom's popular base T-47 model. It's noted for both speed and maneuverability. While it's been out of stock or been out of production for nearly a decade, it remains a favorite of adolescents and young adults because it is easy to maintain, spare parts are readily available, and it can be easily modified for greater speed. Taking that, and then we go into the Rebel Alliance Snowspeeder that we got on Hoth. So, first, let's just kind of cover where we are on our base model. Of course, this is an air speeder at speeder scale. Its length is 4.5 meters long. Has a crew of one. Crew skills varies widely. Has about 10 kilograms of cargo space on board. It can go from ground level up to about 250 meters. It's about 10 grand used. Has a maneuverability of 3D. Uh, Actual movement is 650 kilometers an hour and has a body strength of 2D. Not too bad. Like it's already been stated, this is already an older vehicle, but a fan favorite. George Lucas was always a big fan of the hobby kind of grease monkey genre. I mean, let's face it, before he had done Star Wars, he had also done American Graffiti, which featured the kids in the hot rods going up and down Main Street and all that, popular of the day and age that he kind of grew up in. And one of the reasons why he had always said the Rebel Alliance would win against the Empire is the fact that you would have a bunch of hot rodders that love to modify, increase the speed and the capabilities of their own ships. So it's with those ideas that we get the Rebel Alliance Airspeeder. So the Rebel Alliance Airspeeder has seen extensive service or throughout the military forces of the Alliance. They were cheap to manufacture, reliable and sturdy, and production and produced excellent speed and firepower. The Alliance often modified their speeders for specific terrain. Speeders for cold environments were snow speeders, those for hot, dry planets, sand speeders, and those for jungle and other moist worlds were called swamp speeders. The infamous Battle of Hoth pitted Alliance snow speeders against Imperial AT-AT walkers, and amazingly enough, a crafty tactic devised by Commander Luke Skywalker allowed the speeders to topple several of the fearsome Imperial battle walkers. Despite not having blasters powerful enough to penetrate the walker's armor. The two-person cockpit has the pilot facing forward while the co-pilot facing backward and is responsible for the operation of the powerful harpoon in addition to normal co-piloting responsibilities. So, looking at this in our stats, uh, we do have it set up as a modified combat airspeeder. It's now 5.5 meters long, so we've added an extra meter with the weapons on board. Has one a crew of one plus one gunner. Let's see. We still have that same 10 kilograms cargo capacity that we had seen from the I-47 here. Okay, or the T-47. I apologize. Uh, so ground range level to 250 meters. Now this is going to be now roughly about 50,000 credits used, available on the black market. Is it really worth that? No, but because it's on the black market and now it's being used for combat, the price goes up. really you could buy it for about 10, maybe throw in another 5 grand worth of modifications to it, and here we are. But it's the whole issue of this is now a custom speeder, and it's going to be wanted on the black market to try and help thwart off, say, the Empire or other mercenaries, pirate groups, whatever the case may be. All right, so maneuverability is going to be 3D. I think we had what, a 2D? Nope, 3D before. Body strength went from a 2 to a 3D. We did increase the speed on here, so possibly another 5 grand in upgrades or whatever, custom parts. So instead of being looking back 650 kilometers an hour, we're now up to 1,000 kilometers an hour. We have the dual laser cannons, fire length. Let's see, we are missing. Okay, so our forward dual laser cannons, having a fire control of 2D, has a damage of 4D plus 2. Um, has the power harpoon, which is rear facing by the co pilot, considered missile weapons, has a fire control of 2D, does 3D damage. None of the tow cable is and fusion discs are used. Um, Honestly, there's a part of me that says that this is probably going to have a small kind of light blaster as well. But this is what we have from the official book. Um, I would still say, in some regards, kind of mismatching both of them together. That yes, you might have the harpoon, but you might also have a rear-facing kind of anti-personnel, essentially blaster cannon that you can shoot, trying to pick off other infantry or whatever else. Um, but that's my view at it. This isn't the official book, but that's my view at it. So that's where I would say I think I would differ a little bit, but this is the official from the old books. So obviously I have to defer to that, but I would also say if I could, I'd throw in a little extra cannon on the back. So I have a co-pilot that can shoot just trying to pick off infantry. But that's me. Um, Regardless, we're going to segue into something that we don't typically do when we're doing these. I have the new Star Wars Micro Galaxy, as well as the old Galoob Snowspeeder. So let's go into that. Take a look at the difference between the two of them, what it was, what it is now, and we'll kind of go from there. All right, so as we look at these, um, the, we have a big difference in size. So this is the old Galoob Action Fleet scale Snowspeeder. And this is what we have from Hasbro today. So this is from the Micro Galaxy. Kind of going from there. I will say this is probably a little bit more closer to scale than what we have from the old Action Fleet. The Action Fleet didn't try to do everything at a good scale. It put it out there. Some of the ships were really small, some of them were bigger. So we do have a wide variety here. Some of the things I've noted before in the Action Fleet, and I don't know where the figures are. I have a jar somewhere with all the figures in them. As we have Dak here, it's nice and easy to be able to throw the figures in on the old one. I mean, it was big. It worked really good for small kids to be able to just slop it in there. The things that we had with here, or with the original was, the cockpit did open up nicely. These opened up a little nicer, I think. Playing with this one a little bit, it opened up nicer. The cannon and that swiveled pretty good. Underneath, our landing gear sat down like this, and then we could put it up. So it was very simple, very basic. A nice little design. Works really nice. I don't have a problem with it. Looking at the new one, they do give us some extra bells and whistles. Trying to get the cockpit open here. We can get DAC in here. This is the first time I've started trying to put them in here, so we're kind of going through. We can slop them in here pretty good. I think it does work pretty well. The canopy here is a little stiff. Snap shut. Now, as far as our kind of turning fins here, because if you notice, the speeder itself is very basic. It just raises up whatever side it needs to turn. And these don't open as well as the old one did. I mean, I have these all the way out, and this is about as far as I can go in here. So really, it's just going to be using a little bit more of your imagination. Yes, they open up, not the best. So there is that. A nice feature we do have, now the landing gear is very basic. It's not as nice as what we had before. It works. It sits up a little higher in the front, I think, than what we used to. But the big feature is now we have a grappling hook that you can use. And it has a little wheel here, so we can kind of wind that in. And we can stow this away. As long as they don't keep pulling it out. And on the back here, it kind of sits in here pretty decent. Not a big issue here. So, all in all, not bad. It is different here. Oops, we do have. Now I don't know if this is a lock on that. Yep, it's kind of a lock. It stops it from wanting to unwind, which is fun and cool. I'm not going to say it's not. For the kids, seeing that this is meant more for the kids, and at being at $15, nothing's getting cheaper. So I guess I have to keep that in mind and keep my mouth shut a little bit on that regard. But it is one of those things of, oh, okay, that's what we have here. This, as well as being a little bit of a lock, really is here. So if I want that up or if I want this side up, that's what that does. So it opens it up a little bit. So, okay. Now I get it. There we are. So this side, it doesn't open up as much as the other side, but it does have a little bit of playability here. Gives a little bit of fun. And of course we have our cannon in the back here. It's not bad. It's a very simplistic design. There's not a lot of extra bells and whistles. It is a very simple, speeder. So in that regard, now, they modified the speeder to have the cannons on here, which were underpowered for what it needed to do. But there again, if you're just doing your standard kind of combat maneuvers, I think it works pretty good. Not a problem. I've also thought that this would be a good kind of starfighter in a way, and we really kind of get that with the Jedi starfighter from the Clone Wars. But as far as looking at the Snowspeeder itself, it does work out pretty good. This is fairly big. This is really truer to the size it should be. Remember, this is going to be 5 meters, 5.5 meters, and if you see that your characters themselves are about 1.5, 1.6 meters tall, that means that we should be able to lay how many down and it should come out the size. Where this is definitely going to be a lot bigger, not quite the right scale. So, looking at it visually, you can see it's supposed to be more or less the same vehicle. This one definitely a little bit more of the snow camouflage than what we have on the gray here. I don't have the best lighting. I'm trying to work on this because I've been doing this on a smaller table. I've got a ton of stuff on my pool table, so I needed a small table to do this, and it works pretty good. But it's not. I don't have all the good lights like I do above my pool table. Um, but the speeders themselves, they look good. It is a nice ship, nice design, a lot of fun. Adds a lot of extra character. The the expanding of the big universe that we get out of Star Wars. So, with that, thank you so very much for stopping by. Thanks for visiting. It's always wonderful having you here. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and we will see you in the next video.